All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to be starting now. Um, I only recognize Stella. I don't know about Divine. I don't know. Maybe this is your first class, but welcome back. Now last class we talked about functions and some Excel functions that we have, and we worked with those functions, the formulas and functions that we have in Excel, and how to use it. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with it by now. Seems like Stella has network issue. Anyway, Divine, if you've not seen, if you were not in the last class, you can go and watch the video so that you can get familiar with that one. Though what we're about to do today, data validation and formatting, is not going to affect you if you don't know functions and formula. It's something that is straightforward. So I'm going to start now. So we'll start with data validation. Data validation in Excel is a tool that we can use to control what data can be entered into a cell, and it prevents wrong entries and keeps our data clean. It helps us because sometimes when you are typing and typing, you might not know when you make a mistake, but if you validate your data, it will help you track those mistakes so that you can know it. It helps avoid typing errors, ensures consistency, and it helps us save time when cleaning data, especially as an aspiring data analyst. It's very useful and helpful. So I'll just show us this is something that we can just try on our own, like personally. But I'm going to show us some examples on how to use data validation. So let's say, for instance, now we'll come over here to our sheet, and in this sheet they were like, maybe your employer was like, oh, that you should help us sort this sheet out, and that they are going to pay overtime, but they have a company policy, for instance, that if the overtime is more than 5 hours, they're not going to pay that. Nobody's supposed to work more than 5 hours. Do you understand? So in order to validate this data, so that maybe someone wants to fill it and then forgot about the company policy or anything, and then I want to put 6 here, and instead of you to start correcting, because sometimes for data analysis, just give you the data. Instead of you to start correcting, set you can just set a data validation whereby once the person is imputing the value, like if the person goes out of the standard of the company, that's more than 5 hours work time, is going to show up as error and the data will not be entered. So for us to set this our overtime hours in that way, we can just click on this our cell over here. As we have clicked on it, we can click on our cell over here. As we have clicked on it, we go to our data, and then sorry, we go to our data, then we'll look for our data validation. Please, hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? All right. So we click on our data validation, and then we click on this. Then we go to our setting. So this any value indicates that any value can be put, even whole numbers, letters can be put inside here, but we don't want that. We want whole numbers only, and we want the numbers to be from 1 to 5. Like the minimum hour someone can work is 1 hour, and then you cannot work for 30 minutes. It has to be 1 hour, and then the maximum hour is 5 hours. So if it's more than 5 hours, there will be an error. So we'll put the maximum as 5 hours. So like this, we have set it according to the company standard. Then we click on OK. So this has already ensured that any value that is entered within this column is 1 to 5. So for instance, someone comes now, someone that does not know about the company policy, and is like, oh, yeah, this person worked on Thursday for like 6 hours, and then comes here and puts 6 hours and clicks enter. You can see that it brought up error. This value does not match the data validation restriction defined for this cell. So it will not work, no matter, even if you try, it will not work because is more than 5, and 5 is the maximum hour that any employee can work. So in order to make this work, we have to change it to be 4 or 1. It has to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So if you click enter here, you can see that this one went through because our data validation already restricted anything above 5 from working. So that's it about data validation for numbers. In order to remove this data validation, for instance, you don't want it to be here again, or for instance, in this place now, if you want to edit this your heading now and change it to something like, maybe you want to change it to overtime, just overtime, and then you click enter, it will still give us error. Why? Because before we did our data validation, we already typed the overtime, so it did not affect it. But now that we want to change the name, it's going to affect it. In order to avoid this happening, we can just click on this particular cell, and then sorry. So we can just click on this particular cell and then go to our data validation. And when we get to our data validation, we click on it, and then we click clear all. Remember, it's just that cell that is highlighted. We click OK. So since it's just the cell that is highlighted, it's only it that data validation is not going to work for. Do you understand? So now we can edit this our cell without problem. Oh, now it's now overtime, and click enter. It has gone. It's no longer showing us data validation problem or anything like that. But it's still active for the other cells. So if I click 6 here and enter, it will show me that same error. So let's take note of that in case we want to change. I'll just change this one back to hours. So that's what we do if we want to change it. Then if we want to do for our alphabet, it can be, for instance, now for text, rather, not alphabet, for text, we click on this and data validation. So we want that the text length that is within this column has to be a minimum of 2 and then a maximum of 3. Then we click OK. Like, we'll make it so that this is our setting. So as we have made this so like this, if we come here and type, like for instance, let's just type rest day. See, it's showing us error. The value doesn't match the data validation restriction for this cell because we impute more than the text length that we said is going to be. So in order for it to work, we have to put within that text length. You can see that 3 is the maximum. So 3 letters entered, Assuming 4 is the maximum, then rest is going to enter here. But since 4 is not the maximum, rest is not going to enter. So that's how we can do for text length. So I'm going to remove the data validation over here and clear all, so it does not have that value again. So we can also use list, and our list in data validation is used to correct our spellings and to make sure that, because it's reoccurring, sometimes you might just type and mistakenly type Friday without an I. So to avoid that error from happening, we can just make a list. We can use lists in data validation to ensure that whenever we're typing, it also saves time, because we can also use lists. We can also use lists to like automatically put down the values in our column, in our cell rather. So let's try for list over here. So we click on this and we go over here. Okay, we click on list and then we go over here to our data validation. And okay, this is the list we are working with. We are working with list, so we will select list, and then our source, to go to our source, like the so before working with list, you have to create, like you have to like it is more like a repeating reoccurring value. So for instance, for this one now, we want only our weekdays. So someone cannot come mistakenly and say, oh, they will now impute one value, something like, I don't know, another day. That is not another day. We want the 7 days of the week. We don't want any error at all. So someone can just mistakenly impute something else that is not supposed to be there, and something that will disorganize our data. But to avoid that, we can just write the correct days of the week on one side, or if it's another that you're working with, you write the correct, let's say for instance is a genre of a music, you can write the correct genre of the music in one place. And then after you've written it, that's when you now come over here to your data validation, click on list. After that, you will now go click on this arrow button in the source to take you to your worksheet. So in this arrow button, you're supposed to um highlight the list that you want to be working with. So for instance, this is the one that we are going to be working with. So since we've selected it, we go back here. As we are selecting it, you can see that it's already showing us what we selected. We go back here, click on this arrow to take you back, and then you now click on OK. Also, there's another thing I've not talked about. Since this input message, it allows the user to know what to do. So let's, for instance, we now put instruction. This is our instruction. And then our input message will now be only the days of the week. Sorry, my instruction is not correct. Okay. Instruction, only the days of the week. So our error alert, so that in case the person put the wrong thing, this is the thing that is going to pop up. Let's just make this one stop too. You can put it as,
Hello.
yes,
I,
sir.
I can't I can't see what you're typing on.
I cannot see what you're typing.
Can you hear me?
I cannot see what you're typing.
Okay, you cannot see what I'm typing.
No, I cannot see what you're on and the list. And your cursor is
Sorry.
just moving around the screen. And even when you did the validation, putting the instructions, I'm not seeing where you're typing all the instructions.
Okay, but you are hearing me, right? Assuming you are using your computer, as I'm saying this thing, maybe it's part of Excel, like I don't know, but it's supposed to show.
My system is
It's a
on now,
pop-up.
so okay.
It's a pop-up message, so maybe that's why it's not showing.
Okay.
Okay, I believe you can share your full screen, your
My
entire screen.
first,
Maybe the
yes,
pop-up message will
it's
come
my
out.
entire screen. I'm not in the web. Like I'm not showing. It's just my entire screen that is showing. I didn't share my screen.
Okay.
So please,
I
if you
think
have your laptop
we
with
cannot even
you,
see what.
My
let
laptop
me
is down.
cancel
Come on, I can't answer that.
let me cancel it
Mm.
and start again.
Okay,
Um
I'll appreciate it.
so but you can see what the column I highlighted.
Yes, you're on A.
Okay. I've highlighted A and then I go to data validation and then click on
Yes.
data validation here. And this time around, we want to work with lists because list helps us to correct the spelling and help us to impute the correct values. Please, can you mute yourself?
All right. Mm.
But wait, sorry. Can you see this stuff now? Can you see it now?
I can see your cursor. Which stuff?
You're not seeing the settings and the data validation criteria.
I'm not saying validation criteria. I'm just saying the column that you highlighted. I saw when you went to the validation and you click on the validation and that's all.
Eh,
I'm not saying the list. You click on list, Abby. I'm not saying that.
yes, yes, yes. I don't know what to do about that. I really don't know what to do.
Okay, can you reshare your screen? Can you reshare your screen? Just reshare your screen.
All right. All right. So you can see my screen now. I don't.
Yes.
All right. Let me start again. So I highlight this cell and go over to my data validation. I click on the drop down button. I can't even see the drop down button because it's now that I'm looking at what I'm doing. I can't see the drop down button, but I've already clicked it and it's giving me three options. There are three options: data validation, circle invalid data, and clear valid circles. And none of that is showing. So I think it's because it's a pop-up and I've already clicked it and it has popped up, but it's still not showing. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But for the sake of when you are going to be working by yourself, I'll be very descriptive so that maybe as you are listening to me, if you're watching the class later, you can just know what to do. So as I've highlighted my cell over here, I go over here to the data validation icon and I click the drop down. I click on data validation. There's a pop-up that comes up. There's setting. So I'm installing that setting validation criteria. So they are telling me allow value. I don't want to allow just any value. So there's a drop down button that shows me any value, whole number, decimal, list. But this time around, we want to work with list. So we click on list. When we click on list, we go, then the list, we see where there is source. And in that source, they are telling us that we're going to select the data we want to work with. So there's an arrow. That arrow takes you to, when you click on that arrow, by this side of that source, that arrow takes you to your worksheet. And when you get to your worksheet, you can come here and highlight Monday to Sunday, because that's what you want, just the weekdays. Just the weekdays of the week. We don't want any other foreign data. So after we've highlighted this and it's showing, is there a problem?
Okay.
Now Monday to Sunday is
Can
like
you
my source, the source of the
just
list.
share? The thing
Yes,
is
it's
that,
your source.
Okay.
So you now click on the arrow from the pop-up again to take you back to that your pop-up box. And Mr. Moses, you want to say something?
yes, the thing is that how you are sharing your screen, I would have seen your tax bar, and it's not showing your tax bar to show that it's not your entire screen you are sharing.
It was my entire screen I was sharing before. It was when you guys started complaining that I minimized it. I shared it into two so that I can be seeing what you people are saying too. But still, there was no difference.
Okay.
So this, when you click on the
Okay, you can
arrow,
move on.
it takes you back to that setting, this thing. So you can either click OK and your data validation is already set. But I wanted to just talk about something extra, which is not compulsory. You can put an input message, like for someone that did not know what you did. So when you put the input message, you just write something like this title there. You can put something like instructions, and then um in the input message you write only days of the week. Like, that's the only thing we want to see. We want to see only the days of the week. Then we can go to our error alert so that whenever the error pops up, the person can know what they are doing wrong. You can just click on as the title, you can use stop, and then as the error message, you can use input only days of the week. And then after I've set all these things, don't worry, when I want to input my data, you are going to see it. After I set all these things, you are going to click OK. And you see, because we've already done this, you can see that this the instruction is already giving us, so that before the person even types and makes a mistake, it's already telling the person that it's only the days of the week that you're supposed to put here. Oh. You can see my instruction, right? So it's already telling the person that it's only the days of the week that you're supposed to put here. So for instance, I go down here, since we have done this thing already, our Excel automatically gives us a drop down, and this drop down makes it easy for us to input values. So for instance, we come here, okay, we stopped at Sunday, the next thing is Monday, right? So we can just come here and click on Monday. Is as easy as that. It makes our work very easy. So for instance, now we don't want Monday, I want to come and write something else that is not part of it. Someone wants to write 3 days. I don't know why someone wants to do that, but maybe an error or something. If you click OK, sure you see what I did. See that title I put stop, and then input only days of the week. So if you do it properly, this is how it should show up for you. Do you understand? So we are going to click cancel because that one cannot work. So we're going to delete this. So this our total is certainly not part of um it's certainly not part of the days of the week, but we just it was already there before. I don't know if you were there when I was explaining that. So but if we want to exempt this total from that our data validation that we've already set, we can go over to our data validation icon, click on data validation. There's a pop-up again which you cannot see, but you just go to the left corner and click on clear all. Once you click on clear all and click OK, right now it does not apply to this. You can see that the drop down button that was here before is no longer here. So right now it does not apply to this total anymore. Same thing, we don't even want it to apply to these days. We don't want it to apply to this cohort 2 or any of this. We don't want it to apply to it. So we can also highlight these ones, these two here, and go over to our data validation icon again. Click on data validation, look for where there's clear all, click on clear all and click OK. See, that drop down is no longer there. We'll do same for this one. We'll do the same for this one. We'll come over here, click on the drop down, data validation, clear all, OK. And that's it. That's what we basically need to know about this data validation. And okay, for instance, now let's say that there's a day of the week that we missed, that we're supposed to put inside here, but we forgot. And then we're not like, okay, let's just add it at the end of this place. If we add it at the end there, it's not going to, let's check if it automatically entered. You can see, wait, our free day is not here. We are looking at it. Sorry, let me put my screen big. Okay, as we're looking at it, our free day is not here. So what are we going to do? We can just simply just carry it and we can put it in between. If you just drag it manually, if you drag it like this up here to tell us you want to replace, we don't want that, so click on cancel. So we can simply click on, you select the cell we want to shift and click on shift, select the cell, click on shift, and then you drag it. So let our free day be between Thursday and Friday. Okay, so we've added our free day. So if we now go over here now and click on the drop down, you can see that our free day has been added here. So now our free day is part of the list, part of what you can put as the week of the days. So that's just simply how this works. So yeah, so that's it about data validation. It's just something that you can work with. You can work with time also. It's just something that if you just practice by yourself and you just know your way around it. So now we're going to be moving to formatting. What's data formatting? Is the changing of the appearance of a data without changing its value. It makes our spreadsheet easier to read. For instance, now you are done with everything you want to do and you want to go and give it to your boss. You cannot just carry it like this now and say, oh yeah, see, I'm done with the stuff you told me to do. Yeah, take. Does not look presentable. So we want to make it look presentable in a way that is readable, and anyone that sees it is just like is pleasing to the eye too. Like it's very organized and formal. So we have different type of formatting. We have font formatting. Let me go to all these things, they are under the home tab. We have font formatting. This is used to format our font. This is used to select the type of fonts we want and all that. We have font formatting, the bold, the italic, the underline, the font size, font color. Then we have number formatting, whereby we format our numbers to currency, percentage, date or decimal, depending on what we want. And we have cell formatting, whereby we format our cells, we use our borders, our fill color and all that. Then, okay, so before we start our formatting, let's just fill this. So for instance, Stella, let me see your full name. So Stella, we're going to be using your name. Okay, you didn't put your full name. I wanted to see your full name. Anyway, so we're going to be using Stella's name over here, right? Stella. And then the date submitted. You can either put your dates manually, or you can just type equals to today, just like we talked about before. And you click on it, enter. The downside though to using equals to today and not putting manually is, if you come tomorrow and check this thing now, it updates automatically. This 17 will change to 18. So sometimes you need to fill your dates manually, not using today, because tomorrow is today when you're present. Do you understand what I mean? So it's best to fill it manually, but we'll just use this for now. So let's worked over here, and let's say the first of this month was Monday, so that's already perfect for us. We can do 0109/2025. So we click on enter, so it has entered this value for us. Rather than filling others manually, we can just use our fill here, and it will just fill everything down for us. Let's delete this, it's not needed. So the regular hours for someone to work is 8 hours. So we can just use our fill now to drag all this down, delete. And then the overtime hours, this is just the days that Stella worked overtime: on Tuesday, on Thursday, on Tuesday again, the upper week. So the second week rather, that Tuesday. So the regular pay, I'm just taking us back to our formulas. So the regular pay for these 8 hours that Stella worked will just be equals to, hope you are hearing me, because I'm not seeing what you people are
Yes,
doing.
I can hear you.
Okay. So the regular pay for Stella now will be, we can see over here that our hourly rate is 75, right? So we can come over here and click 75 times shift 8 times this 8 hours that Stella have worked over the week, and we click on enter. So it means that Stella is getting 600, right? So we click on this, and we want the same formatting for everything, and we click. So you see now there's an error, and the reason for this error is there is something called relative referencing and absolute referencing in Excel. So the relative referencing allows that Excel automatically, like for instance, if you click on this now and we are looking at the formula over here, you see that this one was G5, right? We multiplied by G5 in the beginning. Let me click on this one so you can see. Sorry, we multiplied by G4. Yes, we multiply by G4 in the beginning over here. This is G4. So automatically in relative referencing, Excel automatically goes to the next cell, which is a normal thing. It automatically goes to this one. It'll say, oh yeah, this is where you multiply by this one. Yeah, this G4 here. So that means you are going to G5, you are going to G6 next. Like it continues that way. But we don't want that. Relative referencing is very good in Excel. But whereby we don't want relative referencing, we just want our value, our hour, to be multiplied by this particular cell only. We don't want any other thing. We don't want any other cell. So that's where absolute referencing comes in. Absolute referencing helps us to lock our column and our row. So we come over here now, and what we are going to do now is we are going to absolute reference this G4 so that it doesn't change, it doesn't move down to G5, it doesn't move down to G6, it doesn't move down to G7. We don't want that. We only want it to be multiplied, we want our regular hours to be multiplied by this G4. So in order to apply this absolute referencing over here, we come over here in our windows, we click on Windows and F4. Sorry. And when you click on Windows F4, it automatically adds sign for us. But we can also do this manually. We can just add the dollar sign by ourselves. The dollar sign is in our keyboard. You can just do Shift dollar sign, come over here again, Shift dollar sign, and that's how we've locked this cell. It's not going to move right, it's not going to move left, it's not going to move in any direction. It's just going to stay stagnant on this G4. That's what we've done. We locked the column and we locked the row. So we'll click enter. So now if we now fill automatically, you see that it has changed. Do you understand? It has the value has already changed and it has given us the correct value. It's no longer that other value. So for this our overtime rate, they did not give us. So let's say for instance now in the overtime rate that for an hour in the overtime rate, an hour in overtime is 50% more than the normal hourly rate that is 75. So we can just do equals to this. Since it's 50% more, that's half now, right? So we can do equals to this divided by 2 plus this one again, and that will give us like our 50% extra for an hourly rate. So we click on enter, and this is the rate for our 50% more. So we come over here, our overtime pay, we are going to use this overtime hours to calculate this our overtime pay. So we come over here, we do equals to, so we click here, Shift times. Stella, are you there? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if you are following, but if you are following, what do you think we are supposed to do to this G5?
We'll lock it. We'll add the dollar sign.
Okay, thank you very much. We can do that manually, or we can do that using Windows,
Windows
then
and
F4. So
okay.
we click
Is it
enter.
Windows Shift F4 or Windows F4?
You click on Windows, then you click on F4.
Okay.
You know the Windows symbol, right?
Yes.
Okay. Click on Windows, then you click on F4. Then we now come over here and drop it down. And this is the value it's giving us for the days that Stella worked overtime. So we want to now get our total for everything. So we'll now do equals to,
Sum
yes, you can use sum.
E8
What
and
did you
then
say?
F8. Sum of E8 and
Eh,
F8.
So sum, comma, E8 and
Mm.
F8. We close our brackets, we click on enter, and then we drop down, and it gives us the value. So now, sorry. So now we've already solved all this that the company wants us to solve already. I'll delete this, I don't need it anymore. So we've solved all this that the company wants us to solve already, and we know our data is already correct. So now we cannot just go and present it like this to our boss and say, oh, I'm done. Look at what I did. It will be like, why is he looking so scattered and disorganized? So if we want to make it look presentable, formatting in Excel is just trial and error. It just what looks very presentable, what looks formal. It does not have to be too much, but it just has to look good. So we'll come over here. See, this is our class cohort too. It's just here in this place without, sorry, it's just there. So we want to make it bold, to make it more, stand out more. I want to change, for instance, we don't like this font. Okay, we are using Calibri fonts now. Let's say we want to use Times New Roman. We can just highlight everything here, like, and change it. Sorry. Please mute yourself, Stella. Okay. You're seeing how it's changing easily. So we can simply type the one we want. It's one Times New Roman. We click on it, click on enter. This is what our Excel sheet is now in. So let's say, for instance, now we've already made this one bold, but it's still looking very small. So we want to align it to the center, or we want to even change the font to be better than this. I don't know why it's going all the way down. So let's say we want to use something bigger, something that stands out very well. We can just use this Arial Black, and then we can now increase the font size over here. All these things are formatting. You just keep on working till you get what works for you. So is this big enough? Is this big enough? This is too big. So let's just work with this 28, and then we have already done this, and it's at the side, but maybe we don't want it to be at the side. We want it to be aligned at the center. That's why we use merge and center. But to use merge and center, we just highlight all the cells that we want it to be in the middle of. So we want it to be in the middle of all the cells, and then we'll come over here to merge and center and click on it, and it placed it in the middle for us. So over here, so in this our times worksheet, we want it to also stand out. So we'll make it bold. We also use maybe we'll just stick to this font for it. And then we want to also centralize it, make it in the center. We can use this merge and center too, and then it looks very good from here. So after that, we have just aligned it, and we can also use wrap text too, but I don't think there's anything we can use it for here. So whenever we're choosing our font, we should just check that it's readable and the font text is good. It's not dramatic, especially for a formal setting. Maybe for something else it can be good, but we just make sure that it's not dramatic. Do you understand? So we come over here, and for instance, now these are our headings. We want to make it bold. We don't want it to look like the others, because obviously it's a heading, so it does not have to look like the others. So you make it bold, and see, is now okay. I've seen where we're going to use wrap text. So in this our overtime hours, now you can see that is entering the line, and this is not something we want. So we can click on, we have already clicked on it, so I've highlighted the cell. we can go over here to wrap text, and you can see what it did for it. It made our um this thing to fit in. But I don't like the way it looks, so it's based on preference actually. So I can just remove this wrap text and just simply come here and shift this. Like this is what I want. I don't want that style. Do you understand? So this is what I want. So let's say for instance this whole thing is inside a table. So if we want to build borders, if we want to make our border stand out, let it not look like this other normal sheets, we can just come over here, highlight here, and then the whole place that we want our borders to be in, we go over to the border icon, click down, and we'll click on all borders. And click on all borders, we put it. So now you now see that the borders, like it made it the table to stand out more. It's not just like this normal sheet we are seeing over here. And also, even for this day, we can also change the fill color of this place. So for instance, we want like the headings, our data headings, to stand out more. We come over here, we highlight it to the end, and then we come here and look for fill color. Let's use something like this blue. This blue we do, or Ctrl Z. CMTech uses more of green, right? So let's use green. So come over here, we choose the kind of green we want. Let's choose this green. So you can see that we have chosen this green, is good, we like it, but you can see that this day that is dark is not readable because is contrasting with like the fill color, and we don't want that. Let someone now be struggling to read it and be squinting their eyes. We don't want that. So we can also change our font color to something that we like. So we come over here and we change the font color to white. You can see now that anybody, even from a distance, you can see that this day, this date, this regular is very easy. It's very easy for you to see that. So yeah. So even over here, down here sef, we can also make our border still stand out over here. So this is total. It's not the same thing as the others. Do you understand? So when we highlight this total, we go over to borders, and then Excel just gives you different options, and it shows you visual representation by the side. So for instance, we want top and thick bottom borders, meaning that the bottom, like the last line, is going to be thick, and that will help us indicate that, oh, this is our total. Oh, that time in maths, when you're solving maths and when you reach the end, the answer, you draw either double line under or something, like that's your final answer. Even there's even a double bottom line over here, but we're going to use thick. So you click on this, and then you can see that it made it thicker, and it made it stand out too. You can know that this total. And we obviously want our total also to be bold, not to be just casual kind of total. I know we've not calculated our total. Let's just do that immediately. We can do equals to sum this to this, enter, and we can just do it and drag rather than doing it for the others too. So yeah, we've gotten this one already. So then over here, this one, we also want to make it stand out. We don't want it to just be there. So another place we can use is our styles to highlight. So let's just highlight this cell, these two cells here, and we'll come over here we can choose this one. Maybe we don't want it, we don't like how it's looking and all that. You can just click on the drop down over here. Hope you can see the drop down this time around. Can you hear me?
No, I can't still see it, but I'm
Yeah.
following. Don't worry.
Okay.
I can't see the drop down, but I'm following.
Okay. So it's basically you can just go to your accents, like it shows you different color. So since we're working with green, we can choose another shade of green over here that we can use. Let's say this one is 60%. We can choose this, and this is what we want to use. We can also come over here, highlight it, and also go and choose a lesser shade of green over here, and that's just it. So for instance, we can just highlight all this, and then when we go to our styles, we can click on the heading we like. Maybe we want a smaller heading. There are different kind of heading, and this is the heading we chose. So instead of me to, there's something called format painter in Excel. So instead of me to start coming over here now and start doing all those things I did from the beginning, I can just click over, like click, highlight all this thing, and then go over to my format painter and click on it. You can see when it's showing you this dotted line that is moving, you just know that it has already do this thing. So you come over where you want to apply your painter in, and you highlight everything that you want to use. You can see that it automatically just made it align for us, rather than I will now go and start clicking the same thing over and over again. This is what format painter does. It just copies the formatting you have in one particular side that you have already formatted and just paste it directly for you to avoid you going back and forth, back and forth. Do you understand? So format painter is good for that kind of stuff. So also in this thing, let me show you another example of format painter. Let's say we don't want borders over here again. So we highlight these two, and then we go over here and say we don't want borders, no border. If you click down, you see that there's no border for this place. So we now say, okay, over here we want this one to be, we want it to be, this is called banded. I've forgotten the other term, but like it just allows you to arrange your Excel in a particular pattern. So we choose the color ash here, and then we want to just apply this thing rather than going manually and clicking on this and then continue. We can just highlight this cell, go to our format painter, click on it, and then we'll come over here. We come over here, highlight all the cells we want to apply this to. These are all the cells we want to apply this to, and automatically our format painter has formatted everything and is giving us the same thing, and is very easy for us to work with. So this is a way that we can format our Excel. Even this our cohort self, we can even change the fill color to make it look correspond with our green that we are already working with. Maybe we need something darker, or we should just work with something light. Depends on what you want. Let's just do something light. We can use this, come over here, change this one. So we can either use our fill, no, we can't use our this thing, because one thing about fill format painter is that it also copies your text format. For instance, now I want to say I want to use format painter for this one, and I go over here and I click on it, and then I come here. You see what it did? It made this to be the same. So it's not just the color that is copying, it's copying the font formatting that you've done and all of that, and we don't want that. So Control Z. So it has taken us back. Click escape to remove from that place. So we just change our fill color over here to something. Let's just leave it as this. This one, it looks, I don't know, looks good. So this is just what you do when you want to format your data and make it look presentable, so that you can go and present it to your boss or whosoever you are presenting the data to. So for numbers, for number formatting, so for instance, we are here now. In this one, automatically, we can see that is date over here. Like is number formatting. This is dates. That's the data that is inside. If I should change this now to number, you can see that it has changed. And you'll be surprised that this is the number of the day. Like, I think they said Excel started counting from 1900. So this is the number of the day from that 1900, 1st January 1900 till now. This is what it is. And because I changed it to number, it just gave me this number. But if I want it in our date format, we just have to change it to date format and make sure it's in date format to avoid error. And we have different type of date formats. We have the short date and we have the long date. So if you want something like, please, can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen. I can see your screen, even if the pop-up is not coming up above the call, but I can see your screen. Do boy stop.
It is really an error. I don't like. Oh, anyway, when did I even stop again? So the date format. So we've changed this to date format. We go to our, there's long date. So if we want the long date, we want it to show the day of the day and the order. See, it's showing me this hash because the value is too big. So if I should increase it, you see that it's going to show, but we don't want this long date. We already have Monday over here. So this particular part is not necessary at all. So we can just simply switch it to our short dates. So go over here and click on short date, and yeah. So this for dates. So over here we have our pay. So we want to change this pay like to $sign, naira sign. So let's just assume there is $sign. So we'll come over here and click on currency. Oh, my own is already in naira sign. I formatted it to be that way already. So when you click on currency, it just automatically adds it for you over here. And then you click your drop down and your naira, this thing is already here. You come here to overtime pay. It's also in currency. So you change it to currency over here too. And double click. For this one, also in currency, change it to currency too and double click. So okay. So after you've changed it to currency, you can see what it's doing. That's why it's good you do most of these things before, like, your formatting. After everything